Although I was born into a Christian family, my parents were open to my religious beliefs and allowed me the freedom of choice. Although I went to church every Sunday, church was not an interesting place for me and I failed to find a sense of belonging. Later, I rarely went to church. My parents understood my choice. This support and tolerance helped me develop the ability to think independently. 1988 was a life-changing year for me. Our neighborhood was struck by an unknown virus. The virus caused dehydration and vomiting, and many children had to be hospitalized. I remember that dozens of children had to stay in the hospital for treatment. Compared to the others, my condition was one of the most severe. My brother's condition was relatively mild and he went home after 3 days in the hospital. Due to the severity of my condition, I ended up being quarantined in a tent. I was not allowed to have contact with people from the outside world to avoid spreading the virus. There were 7 other patients in the quarantine tent. We all fell into a coma, and I became the worst of them. During the coma, my breathing stopped for close to 5 minutes and I was in a very critical condition. Fortunately, the paramedics quickly performed CPR on me. All of this was told to me by my parents. When I lost consciousness, I could feel something moving around me. Then he stopped next to my bed. I began to have a special perception and seemed to know that it was an angel. The feeling that this angel was here to help me was very reassuring. I felt the angel's hand pass through my body and it was a wonderful feeling. His hands were gentle and warm, as if they were transmitting a special energy. I felt a static-like sensation at the touch of his hand. The sensation was not painful, but rather comforting to me. I could feel this energy spreading throughout my body, bringing about a healing sensation. In that moment, time seemed to cease to matter. A nonverbal connection was established between me and the angels. After a while, I left my body. I felt myself being lifted out by a force. Here, I did not see bright lights or tunnels. I floated in the air, my soul free from the bonds of the ground. As I levitated, I saw my body lying on a bed. I was not shocked or frightened, it was as if I had transcended all emotion about reality. The doctors were anxiously busy as they hoped to save my life. Their expressions were full of tension and concentration. While observing the doctors, I also saw my family. They were all waiting nervously and praying for me constantly. Their eyes were filled with worry. Although I was now in a supernatural state, my emotions for the real world did not diminish. On the contrary, I felt more intense love and care. I realized the bond between myself and my loved ones and felt a deep emotional connection. Suddenly, the angel appeared beside me. His presence gave me a sense of peace. The angel told me that my body had become too exhausted and that I now needed to rest. It was time to go to another place. His voice was very gentle and made me feel very at ease. In the company of the angel, I felt that I was leaving this real world and traveling to a mysterious place. Even though I didn't know what that place was really like, the angel's words filled me with anticipation. The angel proceeded to tell me that everything was going to be okay, and that all that was needed now was to relax. The angel placed his hand on my shoulder, his palm radiating divine energy. The scene around me began to change. After a while, the scene around me became clearer and clearer. I appeared in a beautiful garden. Suddenly, I remembered that this was the place where I was born. I had returned to my hometown, I was back where I belonged. I felt intense joy and love. It is difficult for me to describe this feeling in words because it transcends the realm of what is known to man. In this realm, I became one with the universe and felt an endless wisdom and peace. I was surrounded by other souls. And I felt surprised and excited. These souls, like me, had just come into the world and a special connection was established between us. As we communicated, we realized that we were all very similar. Here, we are not limited by the laws of physics and we are free to fly through the air, just like free birds. I was excited to fly through the air and feel the flow of air. We share our experiences and feelings with each other. In this space, we have a special way of communicating. This spiritual communication brought us closer and deeper into each other. After a while, two souls joined our exchange. The first soul came here because of a car accident. On Earth, he experienced a serious car accident and tragically lost his life. After coming to this space, he was freed from his body and his soul regained its freedom. He no longer had to feel the pain of his body and instead enjoyed the freedom to fly. The second soul came here because of domestic violence. On Earth, he lived in a family full of violence and pain, and endured unbearable torment. He finally got rid of those torments and his soul was liberated. Coming here, he found understanding and support. In this pure environment, he felt an unconditional love and care, a love that allowed him to rediscover faith and hope. Here we share each other's journeys. Each soul is a unique being with its own story and feelings. Every soul is a unique being with its own extraordinary story. When I saw the huge waterfall, I was blown away by what I saw. The water was so clear and pure. The surface of the water shone with dazzling white light. In front of this beautiful waterfall, I felt a strong love. This love was so pure that it surpassed anything I had ever felt on earth. I felt completely surrounded by love, a love that was unconditional, without any pretense or bondage. As I felt the power of this love, I suddenly began to weep. In this moment, everything else ceased to matter. I suddenly realized that this was the love I had been searching for all my life on earth. This love is what my soul has been longing for. In front of this crystal waterfall, I felt like I had returned home and found my soul's home. Suddenly, a room appeared to my upper right. The walls of the room were green, which made me very curious. From the room came the sound of a group of men laughing. Curious, I walked into the room. Among the group of men, I recognized one of them. He was my deceased uncle, which surprised me. His presence warmed and reassured me. "Uncle, is that you?" I asked with some uncertainty. He smiled and nodded his head, saying gently, "Yes, it's me." I felt a familiar scent, a memory of the time I spent with him on earth. "Uncle, I miss you so much." He gently stroked my head and said comfortingly, "I've been missing you too. Don't be sad, I have always been by your side, guarding you." I went on to say, "My life on earth was difficult at times. But here, I feel very peaceful." Uncle smiled and nodded, "This is a special place, a true home for your soul. Here, you will no longer have pain or distress and can have true freedom." I looked at my uncle, my eyes filled with confusion and conflict. I told him that I felt very happy here, freeing me from pain and distress. I didn't want to leave here again, but at the same time, I had many unfulfilled dreams. Uncle gently touched my shoulder. "I know you have a lot of unfinished business and many dreams waiting to be realized. Your life's journey is not over, it has just entered a new phase." Uncle smiled and explained that this is a place of transition, where your soul needs to rest and heal. Here you can feel the endless love and serenity that will be a source of strength for you in your future journey. You can only stay here temporarily. I understand. I said softly that I should go back to fulfill my mission and realize my dream. Uncle encouraged me by saying, "You have a strong heart and a brave soul. You have to be brave to face all the challenges. Don't forget that I have been with you and guarded you throughout your journey." "Thank you, Uncle. I will remember your encouragement and love." He smiled and nodded and said, "Go back, my child. Your mission is not yet complete and the future awaits you. Wherever you are, you will not be alone, our bonds will always be connected." At the moment of parting, my uncle's eyes were filled with warmth and blessings. I felt a warmth surround me. After a while, I felt myself wrapped in soft clouds and gently landed back on the ground. In the process, I felt my soul and body gradually becoming one. I began to feel my body breathing, and each breath was like a rebirth. When my eyes opened, I saw the familiar hospital room with its medical staff. The doctors rushed over to check my vitals. I could hear their voices, but my mind was still stuck in the same space as before. Slowly, I began to feel the gravity of my body and felt myself return fully to the real world. The sensation is a gentle and slow process. I gently moved my fingers and toes to confirm that my body was functioning normally. The medical staff smiled with delight. They told me that I had experienced a major challenge and that I had managed to get through it. Under their care, I gradually regained my strength. Looking back on this experience, I know that it was a profound experience that gave me a deeper understanding of life. Although I returned to Earth, that memory and realization will remain in my heart forever. I know that it is my true home. My journey on Earth will continue, and I will use this marvelous experience to guide myself. Now, I am no longer afraid of life's challenges because I know that no matter what comes my way, I will never be alone. This experience has taught me love and forgiveness, and has made me realize the infinite possibilities of life. In my heart, my uncle is my motivation and support to move forward, and his wisdom and love will stay with me until I accomplish all my tasks.